Your NRL Fantasy mid-rangers are up next. 598k for Bateman. So we're going from 600 to 400 in this region. And a great start from him in round one, a 57, followed by 39 and 37. Has a break even in the early 50s, priced at 44. So if you expect him to go back to somewhere near this 50 mark, then it would be smart to hold him. But if you don't think that he's going to get back to that 50 mark and he could plod somewhere in the high 30s to mid 40s with the odd good game, a couple of games that are poor, with big missed tackles. He's seeing 4, 5, and 8 in a really poor team, and he's got Canberra and Penrith the next 2 weeks with a bye coming up, another one coming up in round 12. Then I see him as an easy guy you can use to upgrade to the Campbells, the Houses, these types of guys here. So one of those guys in the mid-range that I would use personally to move up or down. Munster, he's got through the tough one. He's got through the bye. If you're selling now, I think it's a mistake. He comes up against much easier opposition. Hughes is out, so he becomes important. I think he's playing really well. He's had 5 try assists across the 2 games there. Just missed a bunch of tackles, had a few less kick meters, which I think he'll add with Hughes being out. And the try will come, the line break will come, the tackle breaks and the offloads will come as well. So I think Munster can get back to closer to that sort of 200 kick meters, and you make a few points that way, and with some attacking stats as well that are more on the running side and the offloading side, which is what you want with Munster, priced at 44. We know he's a 50 plus scorer. We're seeing him score better than what Brimson has, and he's a 50 plus scorer as well. And I think Munster has more chance in one of the best teams in the comp, so I think you hold on steady. Toby Couchman, the highlight of this section, in my opinion, at 581k. Clemmer does come over to the side, but you did see them make a few changes with Blake Laurie come out of the side and Raymond Faitala Mariner. So 581k for Toby. He's hitting a 59 average across the 2 games, and it didn't actually matter last week. He got a few less minutes. He actually played off the interchange as well, missing the first 18 minutes and has been named to start again. If he can get close to 60 minutes, then we do expect a pretty high PPM for him. He's sitting at 0.9 right now. I expect, that to be fairly similar. You saw last year that number was in 2023. He's got a few games off the bench at 0.8. Last year was at 1.04. So anything just under 1, I think, should be expected for Toby. And his tackle numbers are awesome. He ran the footy for 170 meters last game as well. So Toby, I think, is a really, really good buy with the dual position. Would you trade sideways to him like Gilbert and these types of guys? I personally don't know if you can. It feels a bit awkward. It feels a bit yucky with all the injuries and stuff. So trading green dot to green dot could be tough. But if you have Haas and you want to make some additions, if you've got like Lucas and stuff like that, then you could easily trade to Couchman there and leave you some cash in the bank, which is cool. So I think a very, very solid guy to own. As we said, that PPM in 2024 was great, 39.5 in 38 minutes. And he's shown his ability to score really, really quickly and really, really consistently as well. So great pick this week if you have the cash and if you want to go there. Apparently a little bit of doubt for Papenhuyzen at 578k. And if you didn't catch my cheapies video, guys, this week I'm doing cheapies, the mid-range, and the guns in 3 separate videos, so you know exactly what you're coming to get. Please subscribe. Please follow along. 5-star ratings on the podcast to be hectic as well. You can like the video. Thanks so much, Legends, for being here. The Pap Dog, 578k. The worry with him is around the injury that he copped the other day to his ankle, and he's going to have to pass a fitness test and all this type of stuff. 36 for him with a try and a try assist is a bit tough, but he also had 4 errors and a penalty, so that didn't help him in any case. But we have seen him over previous seasons, especially when he was top tier gun goal kicking as well. He was a 50 average in 2022. In 2023, he only had the 1 game there. 2021, he was spectacular, but averaged 51 as well, with a couple of low minute games with some interchange games there. If you filter it by fullback position there, 64 in that time with a 13-minute game. So there's definitely positives to get from Pat, but I personally don't think he's a clear buy, especially with a little bit of doubt around his ankle. And yes, the goal kicking's great, but it's probably only going to be a few weeks. He'll then lose it when Mooney comes back, which doesn't sound like he's going to be out for a crazy period of time. He'll probably come back around this section, that Bunnies Canberra Tigers type of clashes. And then they have back-to-back buys in 12 and 15. So Pap, a really solid buy. I think he's a way better buy in Supercoach than he is in NRL Fantasy. Reece Walsh at 570k. Would you go Walsh or Papenhuyzen? That is a tough question. I think they have a nicer run right now in terms of the Broncos. But yeah, Storm are an incredible side. Reece Walsh doesn't have goal kicking. He did kick in general play a fair bit at 167, which was nice. And if he can play any type of half-decent footy, I think he's going to be worth it. But it's still a high break even. Papenhuyzen doesn't as much, with a 37 or so. 73 for Walsh. You could definitely wait another week, but he's up against Dolphins, who I think they will play well against, and he could be a good selection. But we're not seeing the same Reece Walsh as 2024, where you're getting him for a 50 average, including a 4-minute game, so it's up at like 53. And then in 2023, you have him at near a 50 average as well. So priced at 42, he definitely has some potential good scores and money to make, but is it smart to jump on right now? Can you wait another week? I think that's a personal preference, and if you have that stomach for a little bit of risk. Tom Gilbert, 567k with the dual. I own him, and I'm not too excited about being an owner of him. He moved to the edge last week, had 10 in negatives, made 41 tackles, but where's that, where are the 50 tackles that we were seeing for a couple of weeks there? Minutes-wise have been all over the shop. Bigger minutes, big tackles, lowered minutes, and then he played a lot of edge on the weekend for basically the last 50 minutes. So just attacking stats we're not going to see from him. He had a tackle break and an offload round 1. He haven't seen it since. So if we can get any of those stats, that would be cool, but he's not a special for it. In 2023, he did have more tackle breaks. So if we can get back to that, I think we can see him be a 50 average player. But right now, I'm not seeing it. I'm not super excited about owning him this week, especially up against Payne Haas. But yeah, he's also a guy that you could use to go right up if you need to in that mid-range, because I just can't see it being a spectacular pick for us. If we're holding all the way, we're getting him to the round 13 buy and then selling him potentially there unless something changes. But right now, it's not looking pretty like it was after round 1. Paul Alamoti, dual position, 564k. He had a cracking game last week. Probably goal kicks again. Didn't kick him great, but he has done a decent job in the past. 39, 57, and 62. He has 4 tries so far. 6 line breaks and a try assist. So can that keep up? Probably not. If he goes back to not scoring tries, you're buying him at a 42 price point. But he is coming up against Rabbitohs, Cowboys, Dolphins. So it's a pick that can work out, just like I was talking about with Jenkins. And we'll talk about Isaac Tungo a little bit later as well. Going from highest price to lowest price in this video, guys, and this in this podcast. Alamoti, I think he looks really good. I think he'll be a 45 to 48 guy this year. But we are buying someone who's now on the wing. And yes, he scored well last week, but that was a pretty perfect game for him. Had a line breaks down the right touch line, got heaps of meters that way, and he kind of got most of his meters just from that, and then scored his 2 tries as well. So a solid pick, but you're paying up for a winger, which we don't like to do super often. Matty Nicholson, it was an interesting one for him. He got to move into the middle, where he made lots of tackles, 44 for him in the 80 minutes, and 56 run meters again. So it looks like that's going to be pretty normal for him. He had no turnover tackles, no tackle breaks, and had an error in this one. So 1 missed tackle in 2 weeks is awesome. He'll be pretty stock standard in the 40s, and you can hope for some attacking stats if you get a bit lucky with Nicholson. So that's where we're at with him. He comes up against the Cows, who I think he can definitely score against, but I think we're going to get a lot of our points from tackles from him and less from run meters, and we're just banking on to get in the 50s. I think we're banking on some attacking stats from Nicholson. Priced at 41 now, I think there's better buys. I would go for Couchman before him. Tuipulotu, had to mention him because he's a big talking point in Supercoach right now, as he hasn't gone up in price, but 74 and 57. Comes up against Melbourne before Para. I think this is definitely the last chance to get him. But again, I'm talking about a winger in a team that's okay, priced at 39 with no dual position. Would you just go for Alamoti before you go for Tuipulotu? Probably. Would you go for Papenhuyzen or Walsh before him? Probably. So, it's hard to to know how good he's going to be on a regular basis when he could easily go into 20s, 30s if the tries don't come in 1 week or if they get spanked. So it's a tougher one in fantasy than it is in Supercoach with how important attacking stats are. Naufahu Whyte, I'm seeing him being bought this week. I don't know if he's a buy. Yes, the great score last week with a try. I do expect him to go 50 or less minutes this week. And in that scenario, you're probably looking near a 40 going forward, and he's priced at 38. So he's a clear hold with a low break even. He'll probably get to 560, 570, 580. If he can get another attacking stat or some tackle breaks and good run meters, then sweet. And we saw that in the last 2 weeks. I don't know if it's going to be sustainable going forward with Collins and these guys coming back into the side, Nat Butcher and the like. So Naufahu Whyte a hold, not a buy in my opinion, but I saw he's up 2%, so had to mention him. Ty Wisher, he is going to get this spot for a couple of weeks. Looks like probably 2, maybe 3 weeks that Hughes is going to be out. And we saw last year he absolutely dominated, 50s, 60s, 70s in his time at 5'8" and halfback. Once he got his opportunity, you saw in round 3 last year, he picked up a 66, and he comes up against some nice opposition in the next couple. Manly should be harder, but at 513k, it's hard to jump on him for 2 weeks, really. Jack Howarth at 486. I think this is the fun time to buy him. Got 60 in round 1. Now the draw gets a little bit nicer now he's got past Penrith. He's running the footy so well, getting good run meters. For centres, it's hard to get him anywhere near 150, and he did that against the Panthers pretty comfortably and had 3 tackle breaks. So the tackles are fairly low. He just doesn't miss any, which is great. 15 for none across the 2 weeks. And if attacking stats come, tries come, I think he can be a mid-40s scorer. So if you need a edge centre combo, a few people did it last week, jumped the gun early, which could have worked out. It hadn't that week, but I think it will work out from here onwards. Metcalf at 466. I think if you need to use someone in the mid-range to trade, to go up and down to these guns, then Metcalf should be the guy. Didn't do much last week, hardly ran the footy, 9 run meters, so even worse than what we've seen previously. Missed some tackles again at 3 against Crichton and Wong Tuipulotu and the like. Has a bye the following week into Melbourne and Broncos. You could hold him 1 more week against the Tigers and see how he goes, or you could use him as a trade this week very easily. Siua Wong. This is an interesting one because the question is going to be, where does Nat Butcher play? Connor Watson is out this week, so when he's back, does Butcher play some edge? Does Radley play on the edge this week? Does Butcher play 13? There's lots of questions. Last week was the week to buy Wong. I find it hard to buy him this week. Yes, he's playing great and he's tackling his butt off, but is that going to continue? Is he going to play massive minutes? Is it going to be down to 60? There's a lot of questions now when you're buying someone at 34 that you will have to trade out again. It could work out, it could not. That's up to you and your risk tolerance. AJ Brimson, I really wanted to play fullback, because he just looks like a passenger out there and he had cramps. He was struggling in that second half. Hardly kicked the footy last week either. Missed tackles galore. It's tough viewing for me as a Brimson owner. I may have to hold this week though, just to get a full 17 or 18 on the park and loop him. Would probably be my play, but he has Dolphins, St George, Canberra Cowboys after that, so it's a pretty nice run. Surely he starts getting at some attacking stats because him at 5'8" over previous seasons, it's so much better viewing. 7 missed tackles he hadn't done since 2022 at the back end. But you see all the 40s, 50s, and 60s in his time playing 5'8" with good tackle numbers like he's had. He's getting the odd tackle breaks here, but it's the rest of the game. There's no attacking stats right now, and he doesn't really offload the ball much. Run meters, he has games where he goes over 100 plus, and he's having penalties the last few weeks. It's just been a rough few weeks, and it should bounce back. But if you want to trade him, I understand as well. Isaac Tungo, 454k for him. If there's any time to buy him, it's this week. Priced at 34, up against the Bunnies, Cowboys, and Dolphins. A nice little runway for him. Very risky though. He's gone 29, 22, and 41. So 2 try assists last week for 41. A try in round 1. Missing some tackles at the moment and not getting big run meters. So definitely a risk if you wanted to go for it. Aaron Clark probably could have mentioned as well, 480 odd K. I think if we want to watch it at least a week, see what happens without Dylan Walker, see who gets the extra minutes. They have the bye the following week. Anyway, Emre Guler, 436, price at 32, nice little low break even, getting pretty close to 50 minutes and a point a minute scoring basically right now. So if he can continue that, then awesome. But I'm not sure how the new rotation's going to sit. Couchman already plays big minutes. Same with DeBellin. They've got guys off the bench that can do a good job. So does that continue to happen? I'm not sure. But Guler, you could buy and it could work out. Again, a bit of a risk now that he's gone up a decent amount. He was 380k. I'm surprised he's gone so well. But he has. And yeah, you shouldn't be too disappointed, I don't think, if you bought him. And then Trey Mooney. He's at 401k now, so a bit of an awkward price. Priced at 30. Minutes of 44 last week. And he had 4 offloads, 4 tackle breaks in a game where they got spanked. And we know that his PPM overall is 0.97, which is ideal. And when he gets 40 minutes, he seems to score pretty well regularly. Although there's been the odd game there where he misses tackles like this, 15 and 35. So he can go back to that. That was only last year. Did really well. Got 2 line break assists. Did some great work. Could go back to like scoring 30, 33. Could get less minutes and probably will with Joe Tapine. Smithy's out this week, but he'll return next week. And maybe Mooney drops out the side. So it's a bit of a tough one. But that's the mid-range video, guys, and podcast. I hope you enjoyed that one. Stay tuned for later on for the Guns pod and video. See you guys.